I'd like to call upon Karen's higher self, please.
Yes, I'm here with you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Do you want to do a body scan and let me know how Karen's body is doing?
She's doing very well today. Um, there's no problems that are evident that are going to be of any concern, but I will still continue to scan throughout the session and do healing as we go.
Sounds like a fantastic deal. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that for her. I am very curious today about understanding a concept that we get told about many times. We know that, for example, we can talk about Karen or we can just talk about people in general. It's not a Karen specific question. We know, for example, that Karen has had other lifetimes before, and now she's currently having this human lifetime, and we know she's going to have lifetimes after this. Can I get a sense and an understanding of what Karen's body was before being here on this planet and what happened to that body? And will she go back into that body after the shift?
You have a great question for me to have an answer for. Directly before incarnating on Earth, she had more of a masculine physique and quite a bit taller, as she's not very tall now. She might have towered over this vessel by 2 feet. Very broad in the shoulders. And what happened to that body, that the race she came from, when she wrote the contract, they were aware, because they're in a different dimension, that she was coming here. She did request that body be maintained, and it has been in some type of what you would consider cryogenics. We don't freeze, we have other methods, but that would be the closest for you to understand. So the body is maintained and awaiting her return. If she doesn't immediately come back to this time and space where she left her body, that body, and she goes to another planet, that would be another incarnation, and she would adopt that body, that species. And then I'll even go back further. Before that, she was a being of light. It was all light. She could be different colors. She preferred to be either a pale yellow with some pink mixed in on the edges, and sometimes she'd like to be a violet, a purple. She could be any shapes, and the purpose for that was more freedom to travel and transport. And that's what we have for bodies.
Can you give me an example of what an experience she would have when she was the colors, the range of colors? I just out of curiosity what her life experiences would be then.
That is more of a way higher dimension, where the physical form is not really needed. What I view and what your human mind will understand is like floating through space. It's very beautiful. Sometimes people view this and they see wings as well. So it can almost look like an angel, but there's not a lot of features. Everything is more free moving, the energy, because that's all it is energy. And the energy emits the light. And the mood, we'll call it mood, can change the colors of the energy.
Fantastic. And so this body that we will just say is in suspension right now, her last body that she had before this incarnation.
Yes.
And so it's not doing any other work, it's just on pause while she's experiencing, or he's experiencing, or they are experiencing this lifetime together.
Yeah, when the contract, the soul contract was made to come here, that physical body was, like you said, basically put in storage. When the spark came here, it of course is not accompanying that body anymore. It's not a good idea to have. You can be in different timelines, but generally it's in the same dimension. So she has a lot of sparks here in different timelines in the third dimension, but the dimension she came from, she didn't leave a spark there. That soul is, of course, everybody knows they're so big they can't fit into one human body. So there's a spark in each of the timelines. And then you have your subconscious that has part of it too. And for the rest of the soul, the bigger soul, it is in the energy of the light form. And it watches over all of them.
Oh, I see. As you will be aware, I accidentally keep referring to Karen as a lighthouse. Can you explain to us why?
That being has been around for a very long time and has experienced many, many, many things. The energy and the dimensions that it's acquired is very big. And so if you were to compare it to things on Earth, the light it emits and the height of a lighthouse, I can see the comparison being pretty accurate.
Oh, fantastic. Okay. And so that's a pretty big deal then for this big the other body, the other role that she has. Let's just say that it's a different coat that she wears. So then that means that that being, that body, and all the jobs that he was doing, he isn't able to do it while he is lending his energy to Karen and the other parallel lives. Am I correct?
Right. When she leaves this planet and moves forward, she will have many choices of what she can do next. Her soul will remember that particular lifetime is waiting for her. It was great importance to her. She will return there. I don't know if it'll be immediately, and assume the role that she had. She's very passionate about that work, and it had a lot to do with why she came here. This planet became very urgent, and it was part of what she was working on with several others. But she decided to come down and be a light bearer and do whatever needed to be done. It was that urgent of a matter to help this planet. Many did that.
We have a system that Dolores referred to as the 3 waves of volunteers. Would Karen fall upon one of those?
It doesn't look like that. It was more of the role she had before. She wasn't really called upon to be a volunteer. It was more of a last minute decision that she made on her own to join the troops down here and to lend as much help as possible. All the ones that were assigned to be what you're calling the 3 waves had already been dispatched and assigned their lives here and their contracts. She made a different one later, although when she did that, others stepped forward and they followed the example. So Earth would have more support, the humanity would have more support. It has been much smoother than it could have been. So everybody's very grateful that these last minute beings decided to enlist themselves and come here.
Thank you. Because I get a very strong sense from the other sessions I've done with Karen. She is very highly regarded in her role with her other body.
Yes, she's worked with many beings that are in high command positions, we'll call them, to make it easier to understand. It's a role that is a lot of responsibility. There are many lives at stake, but it's a very big community of beings that take care of this. Earth is on the list, and it's at the top of the list to take care of. There are other planets that are being put in priority. That's part of the planning that she used to do, but now others are doing it because she's here. When she returns, they'll be grateful to have her wisdom and knowledge back. It will be a great relief and very helpful throughout the whole universe.
Incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much. So it seems that her leadership inspired others to take the plunge and enjoy the human body experience.
She even has 2 family members that are in her immediate, not her immediate family, but in her extended family that followed her to Earth, just to be loyal is not the word, because they do have their own lives and own roles. But when she set the example to come, they respected her so much that they did the same thing.
Inspirational. Fantastic. Can you give her a sense of those 2 beings now that are in her life?
One of them is her granddaughter, Isabel, and the other one is a nephew. His name's Gabriel.
Fantastic. Thank you. I love that. It makes me feel so joyful and so excited, so proud of everyone who has been so brave to come here. Any regrets?
No, there's a lot of experiences. It seems very harsh and hard at times to live out a human life. But once we depart here, each and every soul will be able to do their life review, and they'll understand everything, and they'll be very proud of themselves in moving forward what they've either done in the past, which I know that really doesn't exist in time and space, but what they have acquired throughout their lifetimes, other places, this was easier at times and harder at times, but they will love every minute of it and they will cherish everything they experienced here. And it all goes into memory for all to share.
Fantastic. And so because I'm talking to her higher self, which is is it the most advanced extension of herself away from source?
Yes, but it's only a piece because there's other subconsciouses with the other sparks in other timelines.
Fascinating. Okay. Amazing. And in terms of her parallel lives, how many parallel lives does she have?
Each and every one of us have almost too many to count. It would be like counting the hairs on your head.
Wow. Incredible. Okay. Thank you very much. So we were very curious about so much, but we're going to keep it to a minimum of the ones that have come to our minds most appropriately today. I'm very curious about understanding the symbols. I know I've asked you this before, but I did not put that into a public session. So I'm very curious about symbols that we see in our daily lives that have significant meaning, even though we're not aware of it. Is there anything that you'd like us to know today?
We did talk about one that's shaped quite a bit like a comet, and I think it's a Nike symbol that represents things off this earth, things that we need to be watchful for. It's a reminder to always be watchful of the skies. There's many, many signs there. Um, Comets are also known as sun divers sometimes. Your sun is a very active portal. Um, I know that your scientists, when they see things, they label. They immediately have to have an answer of what they're seeing. They don't always know what they're seeing, so they call them, the comets that are heading towards the sun, and they just dive into there. It's sometimes ships using it as a portal. So that's one thing that logo can remind you of. Always look at the skies, always question. Don't believe everything other humans tell you. They reason with themselves. And since they hold a degree or respect in their field, their word is taken as gospel, and people believe every word they say.
Always good to question everything. Correct.
Yes, definitely. Your inner self, your intuition, even those little thoughts that you think you're daydreaming, and you're always told as a kid, you don't have time for daydreaming, do your chores, or that's just nonsense. It was almost brainwashed out of you. If you could start just listening a little by little and practicing the daydreaming, your intuition will get stronger and stronger. Let it open back up again. Have the imaginary friend. That's yourself talking to you.
Fantastic. That is so cute. Thank you. And then in terms of the symbols, I was asking about the fleur de lis and the significance of that.
It arrived on Earth probably, whew, your Earth years, 500 years ago. And it was brought from a distant constellation that you know as Orion. They sometimes like to create havoc and wars amongst different species. So it was a coat of arms here that represented soldiers, and they would put it on their, I'm seeing like metal uniforms, and that would signify they were um, they were going to be engaged in battle. And these wars were contained to Earth, and humans fought each other, and they fought over land, ideas, really insignificant things. But they still do that today as well.
Okay, thank you. And so I noticed that that symbol still was evolving and becoming very stylized with fashion and logos of all sorts of brands.
A lot of the elite, I think that conspiracy theorists call them elites, they use a lot of symbolism to communicate without the public knowing what they're doing. And that's representing right now their their fear control. It doesn't look like they're wanting to start a war, but they're also passing information in a secret manner to each other when that pops up. They also use a lot of hand signals in certain numbers, it looks like. They do this through movies and commercials and fashion and music. Everything that people incorporate into their lives, it's there to be found and seen. It's just like a big message to decode. If you know where to look, you'll know what's going on.
Okay, thank you. Very interesting. And so for those people that feel interestingly attracted or drawn to certain symbols or logos, it would be very good for them to ask themselves and get a sense of why.
Yes, there's a lot of times that we pick up habits or fashion and we don't know the real meaning. And if we did, we'd be appalled with ourselves that we're supporting it unknowingly. But that's happened throughout history quite a bit.
I
There's a
think
lot of people that get tattoos in different languages because they think it's a cool symbol, like an Asian language for an American. They don't understand the meaning of some of the things they're putting on their body permanently. If they did, it'd be very embarrassing for them. That's just one example.
in terms of your perspective, uh, is there any impact from us having tattoos on our bodies?
No, there's not. I It's a fashion statement. Some people get addicted to it because of the adrenaline and the art, both. Um, it was taboo for a long time in a civilized, we'll call it that, countries, because they viewed it as what tribal people would do. And they felt like they evolved too much to support or represent such a silly thing. So it faded away. But there was a lot of significant reasons the tribal people did that. They were taught that, it looks like, through the Anunnaki. They did it as a stature, a position in their culture. And it was introduced here on Earth. And some of these tribes picked it up and, of course, handed it down generation to generation. And that's kind of where tattoos started.
Okay, thank you. And can you give me clarification on the Anunnaki and how are we supposed to understand and know about them from our perspective?
They were here long before humans were seeded here. They helped seed them. They they interacted with them quite a bit in the beginning stages in development. Um, they were banned on one of the resets that Earth had. And when Earth was seeded again, they weren't allowed back here for eons. And just recently, the committee has been working with them to support any evacuation that comes up for Earth in the near future.
Fantastic.
So at one time they were good, and then they abused, and now they're trying to get back into the good graces by lending their support as a species to help this one out.
Ah, well, that's commendable. That is nice. Are they trying to even the balance of their wrongdoing?
Yeah, the biggest thing they did is they started Earth as a slave race to help them with their own planet. And then they left I'll call them soldiers for lack of a better word behind to monitor and help and guide what was the work going on here. And they left it unattended. And the ones that were left behind, the Anunnakis, I guess they came to not appreciate their situation. And they are the ones that became abusive. I won't go into the details because some of them are horrific. And some of the humans adopted the bad habits, which made it even worse than it should have been. Of course, none of it should have happened. That's why one of the resets occurred around that time period.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much. It reminded me of the last time I was talking to one a while ago, actually, a conversation I was having with you, higher self, about the drinks that have nanotechnology in them. Is there any other information you can share with us today about that?
I did discuss that with you. Um, it seems like the satellites that have been launched by Elon Musk are what's being viewed or being told as some of his satellites are being hit by space junk, but actually it's us taking out some of his most important technology, so his project doesn't go forward very fast. Well, it won't go forward at all. He just thinks there's delays because of these small setbacks, but it's us delaying him. Even though that's nanotechnology is in drinks and it's being consumed, it can't be activated unless what he has planned. It's not him alone. He thinks he's doing another totally different project or agenda, which was surveillance. But there are still some bad Anunnaki that are on Mars. They are not the same ones that were on Earth because their lifespan's not that long. But I feel their DNA is the same, so they might be relatives in some capacity. They're the ones that want to control Earth again, and they want to do it before the shift occurs. It's all very intricate. They're playing with the humans, and we're playing with them.
Okay.
But in the end, humanity will be safe. Everything will go forward as planned. There's not enough of the Anunnaki that are rebellious to where they can come as a complete threat. That won't happen.
When they want to take over this planet again, what is their full agenda for that?
They think they can salvage what will be left after Guy is gone. I don't think they grasp the full idea, feeling of the bad energy that's here. And with the nanotechnology, whatever humans will be here, they want to control completely. And we can't allow that to happen. The ones that are going to be post evacuation have to be protected in the highest regard. Their mission is just as important as every human that was evacuated.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. So then that drink is on the market and people are currently drinking it without knowing that it has nanotechnology in it.
Correct. Wow. Some people drink a lot of these drinks. I see more than one being implanted. It's once it hits the system and goes through the digestive system, before it completes that, it goes into the bloodstream and it's programmed to go to their brains. And that's where the control would be, of course, implanted. Some people have several because they drink a lot of this product.
Is there any way for them to have it removed? Can, say, for example, if this client came in for a session, would their higher selves or subconscious be able to release that out of their system?
Yes, there is. I guess ones with knowledge could, with their free will, ask for the assistance. But as almost anything else in the human body, drink lots of water and let it flush out of your system before it reaches it's into your head. Sorry, I'm stuttering. But it's kind of important. The more water you drink, the less chance that's going to implant itself. I can see that too.
Incredibly important. Absolutely. And so, for those people that don't know about this nanotechnology that do drink these drinks, are there spiritual teams protecting them?
They have free will to drink it, and their spiritual team cannot really help them without them asking. That's why we have set in motion to delay all the processes that the satellites are supposed to be doing. We can protect that way.
I see. Okay. And so, is that, just to clarify for people listening, we can use our free will to ask for profound healing and releasing of everything that no longer serves us, and you will be able to help us with that.
Yes. When you lay down at night and when you're very relaxed, you can ask your spiritual team or your higher self to actually scan your body and heal it and advise you on how to keep up the maintenance. And that's something that you can do on your own. And if you're not sure how to actually start that process or complete it, you can reach out to people that have done this or know the process.
So it's about setting the intentions rather than buying a product or something, right?
Most definitely. There's crystals that heal. Some people believe in candles, aromatherapy, herbs, but it's all intent. Even the food you eat, if you set an intent before you eat it, it will nurture your body in different ways.
So the people that know this information now, when they drink a drink that's not water, or even if it is water, if they're afraid that there could be nanotechnology in it, will that manifest them to attract that?
I wouldn't use the word manifest. It's only one certain drink out there, and it's an energy drink. And I see it's in an aluminum can and it's tall, but I don't really see the name of it. So if they're concerned, or they definitely don't want that in their their human shell vessel, don't drink energy drinks. And if you really think you need to or have to, you need to drink a lot of water with it to flush it through your digestive system before it goes into your bloodstream.
Thank you. And in terms of that energy drink with the branding, is there any iconic logos that we should watch out for?
I see a set of horns. Um, that's really about it that I see.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Great information. So I really appreciate that. In terms
Yeah.
of, we know that when we shift we leave our bodies behind and move into our crystalline bodies. What can you tell me about the animals and the trees and the insects? How will they look like after this shift for those left on old Earth?
Some of them will appear a lot lighter. I know that cows move very sluggishly. They're going to be lighter on their feet. They'll be lighter like the humans. Um, I know there's a preconceived notion that you immediately get your crystalline body. You're getting upgrades all the time, changing your DNA. And this will continue as you are being transported to your new destinations. Some that are going home, we'll go to that one first. Their planets will be different, and you will not be in your human vessel. You will adopt back what that species looks like. It will be like being incarnated again. You won't go. Some view themselves here now as an adult. If you're going home to your home planet, you won't go back that way. So you will leave your human vessel. The ones going to New Earth, as they travel, will have extensive upgrades. And when you reach the destination, by that time it will be complete. So you'll start out in your human vessel, and by the time you get there, you'll be fully transformed to acclimate to that planet with a new vessel. I know that you guys speak of avatars a lot. You can look exactly the same as you do today, or you can choose different characteristics.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer your question?
Yes, it was a great confirmation of about our bodies, and I just wanted more clarification for for the people that are on the old Earth. How are they going to observe animals that have shifted? What will it look like for them?
The people that are staying behind, the animals that have shifted, of course, won't be here. The animals that are left behind will be very few. Um, there's a lot of food supply here, so they're not going to need animals for that source. I see dogs, which Most people don't eat that meat, so they're not a threat of being killed for that reason. Dogs are like a volunteer species. Some are staying behind to help the humans. Humans have always been comforted by dogs, and they've always bonded well. Other than that, there's not going to be a whole lot of wildlife to view. Most of it will be removed.
So, how will people on the old Earth, um, will they see then uh, dead carcasses of animals, or just the disappearance of them?
The disappearance of them, um, their essence is taken whole, just like the humans. Some people throughout history have called it the rapture. I don't even know if that word's actually in the Bible that people cherish so much, but there's not going to be a lot of dead, decayed bodies and carcasses laying around for cleanup. People will be transported whole, and so will the animals.
Interesting. Thank you. Thank you. Um, you did mention before about uh, um, plant medicine. And I know that people have been questioning their interests for plant medicine. And what is your advice to us about the significance and purpose of plant medicines to help people get into an altered state?
Your body was always meant to become one with earth, and plants are, of course, considered a part of earth. So when you use the plants to heal or soothe or eat for nourishment, of course, your body will process this more naturally. There's plants, say, if you have a headache, there are flowers that you can just pick up and smell, and it will help ease the pain of your headache. There are plants for toothaches the same way. You can grind it into like a pulp and set it on that tooth, and it'll alleviate the pain. There will be materials that humans can find, such as in libraries. There's also some first aid kits that were on the market that have pamphlets with edible foods and healing properties for plants. There's a lot of weeds, and people consider weeds as purposeless. There's definitely a lot of weeds that help in the medicinal realm for humans. Making a dandelion tea is good for sleeping, for example.
Thank you so much. The other worries that seems to be coming up for people who are trying to do the inner work is that they wonder if some of their indulgences are going to hinder them for their inner work. Uh,
Do you have an example?
well, I mean, I know one person who is not wanting to indulge in plant medicine because he is concerned that he can't connect into himself, well, that he can only connect into himself using that plant medicine. So he is trying.
A lot of indulgences make people happy, which raises their vibration. I would recommend that you continue what makes you happy and joyful. But if it's a huge concern, of course, do it in moderation. Um, if it's going to distract you too much from your inner work, definitely do it in moderation. but still try to enjoy things on Earth while you can. You may never see them again.
Good point. Everything in balance.
Yes, definitely. Everything in balance.
Fantastic. Thank you. And we also wanted to understand about senses. And we know people are or some people can be very challenged and very pushed in their sensory systems while sitting beside someone and hearing them chew, for example. Can you give us more insights into why people get so challenged hearing that?
It reminds them of past lives. It could have been a trauma they went through. Um, I know that that sound to certain people enrages them. It brings anger to the surface almost immediately. Then there's others that can't stand scratching sounds. I know you've heard the phrase nails on a chalkboard. They can't endure that. Um, Even a simple thing as waves slapping the rocks at the ocean, that noise annoys people greatly. There are probably traumas behind each and every one of these. It triggers a memory. Um, like the one with the chalkboard, it doesn't make people mad. The emotion that comes with that one is more of a cringing, a fear. In the ocean, that one's a fear of drowning. When they hear that noise, they can't do it. But back to your initial question, the one about the chewing, that one is more related to, every time I think of that, I see a cow chewing his cud and making the noise. So it's very possible that it even goes back to eating the meat of the animal and it being in the person's DNA and being passed down. And it just reminds them of the trauma and it causes anger in them.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, man. Okay. Thank you. So then, how do we help people who have that trauma in their senses from chewing?
They need to ask their higher self to to help and guide them through this. I don't want to call it a fault, but because nothing is a fault. But when they get triggered and they realize it, they need to ask for understanding and somewhat of a forgiveness, it seems. And this will help release them from this infliction.
What is the significance of having this sensory? Is it for them to just have gratitude and appreciate what they have consumed, or is there something else?
We all get triggered by our senses. These people had traumas in their past lives that are embedded and they never release them. They didn't know, of course, from life to life that it was there. Some people are triggered by smells, it seems, but usually that brings up either happiness or sorrow. So that's a lot less to deal with, of course. The biggest one is the sounds another human can make when they eat. That can enrage people. Uh,
Absolutely.
It, I'm just seeing so many different variations, it's hard to pinpoint what the purpose would be other than it's past trauma not released.
Mm, yeah. so many scenarios. Um, I, yeah, I had not come across um, a past lifetime experience from any of my clients, uh, because I guess it's such a small little thing. But it has come up in a conversation recently, and I wanted to understand more about the purpose and what's really going on there with
I
people.
don't think, yeah, the percent of the human population experience this is a very small percent.
Mm.
The bigger ones that, like loud noises, alert people and trigger them. Most people have that one. That's just an opposite example.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Uh, Loud noises can startle so many, deeply more than just the actual sound that they hear. It gets incredibly exaggerated in their responses.
Yes. Um, some that have been in wars in their past life and experience the sounds of war, they get triggered, of course. Some overcome that one way easier than the one you asked about.
Reminds me of one of my clients who asked about why he was really terrified around gas cylinders. We're in New Zealand, we barbecue all the time. We have these gas canisters that are attached to our barbecues. And he just, out of curiosity, wanted to know why. And it was because he saw a bomb being dropped on him. And the correlation between what he could see being that bomb versus the canisters, now he can understand it. So that has kind of made me just share that with everyone. But all of these things that we are really sensitive to for whatever reasons, our phobias or fears, to physical things and sensory things, there's much more going on there than we can guess. And so, would this be something that we could then ask as we are about to go to sleep, to ask, release, and heal, and use our free will and ask for our spiritual team to help us?
Yes, and something that helps greater even is the understanding of why it's there in the first place. Because we can't even give you information without you asking.
Oh, yeah, that's tricky. And so, why is it that past lifetimes are so impactful to others when they can't even, when most people don't even know that there is such thing as past lives? It seems almost impossible for them to be able to figure out the purpose and the root of the issues when they can't get full access to their past lives.
A lot of people self medicate or drink or eat, they overindulge. Um, we talked about that just a little bit earlier. They don't do their indulgences in moderation. It comforts them when they have their triggers and they don't understand them, so they turn to other methods to self medicate.
From your perspective, though, is these lives that people are living, they're supposed to release everything from all the other lifetimes that they've ever lived. But ironically, most of them will not even know what they are releasing because they have no true recollection consciously of those other lifetimes.
While they're in the 3D, and the ones that have not awakened to the fact of there's more to experience off this planet, so to speak, or even the ones that do know that and haven't done their inner work, they will have the opportunity once they leave the 3D to sort things out, to release everything. So when they do reach the destination that is planned for them, they'll feel their freedom, they'll feel their joy and their bliss, and they can enter that new adventure, new life with love and caring and compassion. Most of the really all the releases need to be done in order to enjoy, to grow, to love, to help. They will have time to do that. They will be assisted, the ones that have a hard time, there will be many humans that will have the patience, compassion. That's such a big ingredient, and love to help them open up, discover themselves, understand, and they will grow exponentially as they head towards their new homes with the help of the humans that know how to help them.
Fantastic. Is there any final messages? I'm going to use my free will to tell and ask the most appropriate thing we need to hear today.
Okay, I'm ready. What?
um, so, yes, I'm trying to figure out how I can get the best information that we still need to hear today while still using my free will to ask you specifically that. And I don't know what the most appropriate question is.
The most appropriate question to ask today would be, once humanity is released from the bondage of 3D, how quickly does everybody heal? And my response would be, in the blink of an eye.
Nice. Okay. I think I'm going to continue on my sessions like this now. I'm going to just use my free will to get you to give me all of the great answers and questions. So thank you. That gives me so much joy. Thank you. I really appreciate everything that you have shared with us today.